part of the marketing class I did on this week, talked about the importance of good business cards, not cheap-looking ones. You want a business card that makes a statement. If you want a business card like that, he's your guy, all right? Check out Austin. He's a great designer. He'll come up with a business card that you'll be very proud to hand to people. With that, I'm delighted to introduce our speaker today, Peggy Galloway, Fairbury flag lady. I've never met her before today. I found her on the internet, and I just reached out and contacted her and asked her if she might be interested in this today, and she graciously said yes. Drove up from Fairbury, so we appreciate that. Thank you for being here, and I'm going to turn it over to you and let you explain your business.
Thank you. Several years ago, I was the office manager right down the street for an architectural firm, and my mom lives just south of Fairbury and was having all kinds of health issues and needed help. And so I told my husband, you know, we always talked about buying an acreage by Lincoln, but if we moved down there, and he just looked at me like I was crazy, and it's like, well, where are we going to work? It's like, I don't know. And he's like, where are we going to live? It's like, I don't know. But we moved forward with it, and we moved down there. We found a house, and we moved down. Neither one of us had a job. And so I applied and applied and applied. I've had 25 years as a professional administrative assistant, office manager. Could not get an interview to save my life. Finally, applied for a part-time receptionist job in Belleville, Kansas, which I actually live in Mahaska, so I'm in between Fairbury and Belleville. But the man who owned that newspaper company also owned the Fairbury newspaper and 4 other businesses that I did not know he owned, so I interviewed in Fairbury. So I went in for a receptionist interview, and he said, instead of that, what would you think about selling American flags that we make? And I just looked at him and I said, tell me how you're making American flags in Fairbury and nobody knows about it. And he says, well, because we suck at marketing. So I said, well, sign me up. I didn't ask how much it paid. I didn't ask what the benefits were. Well, as soon as I heard American flags made in Fairbury, my brain just exploded. And the factory, there was only 5 ladies, believe it or not, that sewed these flags, and they did an amazing job. The first year that they did that, they sold like $600 worth of flags. The first year that I got in there, we sold $47,000 worth of flags. Wow. Because the first thing I did was send out a news release through Nebraska Associated Press. Because although flags are not unique, making them here was. So we had TV crews, we had newspaper people, we had magazine people, we had state senators, we had national senators and representatives. People all over wanted to come and tour the facility, all 5 people that were sewing, you know. but it got us the publicity that we needed to really kick it off. I also had 3 veterans, one in Kansas, one in Burwell, and one in Omaha, that test flew the flags for us, because flying them in town, they did great, but when you get them out in the wind, and I don't care where you live in this country, it's windy, because that's the first thing people always tell me is, it's really windy here. It's like, well, it's windy everywhere. So they test flew them for us and would send them back so we could see what they did wrong, and until we got to the point where they were all veteran approved, we were good to go. Fast forward a year and a half later, and the owner's other 5 businesses were failing very rapidly, and so he decided to close it up. I could not see a future without my flags and all the people that I have met in connection with that. So I had been contacted by the president of Valley Forge Flag Company for a dealership as part of a wholesale thing with the Fairbury flags. And we didn't really connect with that. So I called him when they closed it and asked him if I could have my own dealership. No problem, here you go, go. So while making flags in Fairbury was unique, selling them is not. So it was basically starting over, except I had already got the reputation as the flag lady. Nobody knew my name, but they always, oh, you're that flag lady. We see you, we see you, we see you, you know. And so it's like, I'm just going to take off with that. So as I'm trying to figure out what to call it, there is actually a flag lady in Ohio that's been doing it for decades. And so in order to keep it separate, I decided to go with Fairbury Flag Lady because people still recognize the Fairbury flags because they heard about it. And so that's what we did. So the first thing then obviously was get a website because I don't have a storefront. I don't have them in any stores. I have one little drugstore in Fairbury. I've tried several times to get them. Well, actually, that's not true. Hy-Vee at 70th and Pioneers has them. They bought some to resell for me. So hoping to get into one store will lead to another, to another, to another. I would love to have every small business, locally owned, carry them so that people know they can go somewhere and get an American-made flag. I sell for Valley Forge because they're the oldest flag company in the United States, and every piece of their flags is 100% American-made, and it's monitored very closely by the industry. They had Annan flags. There's 3 big flag companies, but one of the other ones had got caught importing material from Mexico, and big hoo-ha on that one because you can't claim that you're 100% American-made and not be. So they do monitor it, very closely. But there's all different styles of flags, different sizes of flags. We do custom flags, we do state flags, we do military flags. We don't do Husker flags, no collegiate flags. But the first thing, obviously, like I said, was to get a website built. And that took a lot longer than I anticipated because of the fact that there are so many products. So I couldn't just copy their website. I had to take each individual thing and have it put up and made. But I did start marketing. After working for professional companies for years, I had a pretty good handle on how to market, where to market, and being such a diverse group, I don't target just one area. You target people that are 30 years old to 80 years old. The rural people, I think, that have a lot of veterans in the community get it more so than when you get into the young, urban that, well, I'll fly a flag. If I do, I don't. So I get on my soapbox a lot about making sure that flags are American-made. If I could have face-to-face time with anybody of any big importance, that would be my big thing. And they actually have started it right now to stop the importing of U.S. flags. I think it's personally ridiculous that we would support another government making our flags. But to me, that just doesn't make any sense at all. And people say, a lot of the times that, well, your flags are more expensive. Well, there's a reason for that. You're going to pay $6 for a flag that's made in China. You're going to fly it for a month and it's going to come apart. U.S.-made flags will last a lot longer. There's no flag that's going to last more than a year. I don't care who makes it. I don't care what the material is. You're talking wind, snow, weather, material, threads. It all takes a beating on it. And so I've had people call me, I just bought this flag a year ago and it's already coming apart. Do you fly it every day? Yep. Well, let me tell you, it's common sense to think about. So they do last longer. Like I said, the other ones will go cheap, they'll go fast. And so getting on my soapbox about that is a big thing. I love the fact of the veterans and the military people that I get to meet with this. They're all just amazing people. I also volunteer with the Nebraska and Florida Supporter Guard and Reserve because without the military, we wouldn't be able to fly our flag. And so I think people need to be reminded of that, the sacrifice that they go through doing what they do, and it's all volunteer. I went to a national conference in DC this summer, and I asked some of the retired generals, about the draft, and they said, oh, we hope that not, because we want people there who want to be there. It's like, well, that makes sense to me too. So I align myself with people who think like I do, and in groups that think like I do. It helps marketing because then you can target more people. I go after cities, schools, but individuals as well. So there's really no set demographics for me. So it makes it all over the board, but yet it kind of makes it hard to really get the message out. I've tried a lot of marketing in the last couple of years, and being on a zero budget, that makes it, very challenging. But social media is the best thing that I can do. If it wouldn't be for Facebook and LinkedIn, I couldn't afford the budget for that. I belong to like 120 buy, sell, and trade groups, and now they've made it a lot easier where you can make one post, share it with all 120 groups, it posts at the same time, ta-da, you're done. But once a week, every other week, go and put something new. Keep your face in front of people and ask people to share, because my friends in Lincoln have friends in California that I don't know about, and I'll get random calls from people all across the United States asking about different types of flags, and we heard about you, we saw about you, tell us about it. And it just blows my mind how these people find me. I had a 13-year-old boy in Moline, Illinois that has a project that he does. He replaces flags for veterans for free. He started with his own money, just saw a flag that was distressed and needed changed, and so he went and bought a flag and replaced it. Well, since then, he's gotten people to donate money, businesses donate money, individuals donate money for the flags. Well, he had been getting them from the local VFW, and they raised their prices on him. And he says, "Can you help me?" You bet I can help you. I don't care if I only make $2 a flag. It's helping him do his mission, and that in turn makes me feel good. And it's also a good PR for me, because anytime he gets a box of flags, he puts a thank you up on his social media stuff that targets back to me. So I help him, he helps me, it works out pretty good. I did try a banner ad with a TV station this summer, thinking that, it's going to be really good. Yeah, not so much. It was like $500, and I know for big companies that's not a lot. For me, that was a huge investment. They couldn't even tell me what page my ad was on, because she said they flipped it from page to page to page to page to page. Within 3 days, they said, "Well, you've used up all your views, you're done." It's like, tell me how you justify that, but they couldn't. So lesson learned. No more. I won't do that again. I do advertise in some print. I put an ad in like the League of Municipalities. If you can get into the government offices and people get in front of the city clerks, find out the people who buy the flags. So there's a lot of trial and error for me this year, or the last 2 years actually, but I keep building my base. I have a lot of repeat customers. If I could go out and do a lot of FaceTime events, that is my biggest draw, to go to any kind of festival or any kind of event where there's veterans, or there's any kind, 4th of July, from Flag Day until Labor Day is really busy for me, so that's really awesome to do. So, but I love talking about them. I love making people be aware of them. I love all the people that are connected with them, and so for me it's a passion, and it's finally something that I feel good about doing. I always said I'd never do sales, ever. I hate doing sales, until I found something that I believed in, and then people look at me and go, "Oh, here she comes." It's like, yeah. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Still moving forward, still trying to, I did do a video this year too, trying to get some mileage out of that. It was just a beginner, or like an introductory, I should say, about me and why I sell flags. And so I'm hoping to do another one in the spring that's more product driven, and so that I can actually buy airtime on one of the local TV stations and get it out there. Have you ever seen a commercial about flags? Yeah. So I'm hoping to change that and make it a little bit more well known. Any questions?
You mentioned veterans, obviously. There's 130,000 plus veterans in Nebraska. How do the VFWs and the towns that have those get their flags?
The VFWs buy only from the VFW store. They are very adamant about that. The American Legions, on the other hand, like me, because they will buy them from me at wholesale and turn around and resell them as a fundraiser for their own clubs. So I have had a lot of them, and there is a list that I spent weeks purging addresses from and mailing flyers to them.
How about schools? Do they bid this thing out? I mean,
The schools bid one time a year, and that actually just came up. And I didn't know that at first, so I sent a lot of flyers to a lot of schools and did a lot of knocking on doors, only to find out that they also buy from a group. I did bid on it the first year, but with Valley Forge, the bigger dealer you are, the better your discount with them. The winning bid for Nebraska schools was cheaper than my actual cost. So it's like, I can't compete with that. And so I've kind of had to let that one slide. I did register with the state of Nebraska, city of Lincoln, city of Omaha, state of Kansas, just to try and get into the government so that anybody that, you know, pays through there, the Nebraska State Patrol buys for me every year, so that's awesome, one lump sum, so that works out well.
Tell me a little bit about your flagpoles and hardware.
The flagpoles are from anywhere from the 6-foot spinning ones that go on your house to the big commercial industrial ones.
What are they manufacturing?
They are actually out of Illinois, I think. They kind of have a deal where the company that Valley Forge gets their poles from, they buy their flags from Valley Forge. So it's all still American made, but it's all right there too. So.
Have you ever thought of, are you in with like the business, like a business bureau, Omaha Business Bureau? When a project comes up, if you go in there and you identify yourself, as what you do is, sales, in regards to sales, is something you might want to take a look at.
I have contacted, working for an architectural firm, and knowing the system with the specs writing and all of that, I did get them to add me as a preferred vendor for flags and flagpoles. And I have bid on a couple with a couple of the local contractors here in town, but so far I haven't got any either. So, although the adjunct general for the Nebraska National Guard, he bought his pole from me. So I'm hoping that he will tell all his other general friends, and yeah, so that's a good in.
Your advertising and whatnot, you should get on Steve's list, because his class Monday night would have addressed a lot of your concerns. And I mean, it was a really good class. Where should my advertising dollars be going? What is my target? And it was a great class, which I think you should take.
Well, I've never had luck with printed media because it's such a hit and miss, and I learned that when I was at ADA. But there's there's a couple magazines that are quarterly, and they are geared towards the people that I think would really be in front of. So that I've done a couple times. So yeah, I've been all over the board with it. But right now it's a budget issue. You know, I think, yeah, the TV spots would be good. Getting the video out, I've got the YouTube channel, but driving people to it, you know, I have it on my website, I have it on social media, I've got it, the link to it everywhere, so.
I assume since you say you do custom flags that you're still manufacturing in Fairbury?
No,
You're not?
no, they closed that down 3 years ago, and so that's why I just decided to start my own. But Valley Forge does the custom flags as well. So I have a graphic designer that I work with, and he does, you know, if they don't already have whatever they want, he'll design it for me. We get it approved, we sent it in, the flags. We did the Nebraska Cattlemen's Ball flags. I've done for fire stations, several businesses. Right now we're working on small garden flags for the Fairbury Booster Club to sell as a fundraiser. So, you know, we can do just about anything.
Can you tell me about the distress flags when you see people that have bad flags?
I try and be very polite.
It's a disturbing thing.
It is. And I have been known more than once to stop and hand a flyer and just say, it looks like your flag needs replaced. If you need a good American-made flag, please consider me. Here's all the information. I'll be glad to take the fund that you have and make sure that it's properly taken care of. Yeah, so I do it a lot because it irritates me to no end to see a flag that's like this flying, you know, in the wind. So I'm kind of the flag police when it comes to that, you know. And if I see like the big flag out front, I know you put that up just for me today, and that's awesome. I appreciate that. I do take pictures of that and share them. When I drive into a town, it drives my husband crazy when they have those great big 100 by 300 foot flags. It's like, I can't help it. I have to take a picture of this because it's just so cool to me.
To your point, the Nebraska University, there was a flag on TV. It was a United States flag. It was a flag and it had a hole in it. And I saw it on the TV. It looks a little unusual. It was in the stadium. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have sent, and what I found with the university is that although they have lots of flags in front of each of the different colleges, each different office buys their own because it's a small ticket item. So again, purging addresses, I spend a lot of time on my computer looking for addresses to mail flyers to and hope that I get some kind of a response. So
Have you tried like nursing homes and whatnot? Because I know one specific one that I'll look at the flag and it's like, oh, that is so sad.
Mhm.
So that might be a market, and this particular one has Omaha and Lincoln nursing home, so.
Banks buy from their own group as well. So yeah, it's anytime I'll see a business when I drive by, I always say car dealerships are huge. Most of them have, you know, but to me, if you're an American business, put up a flag. If it wouldn't be for the freedoms that we have here with those, you know, because of the flags and those who defend it, you wouldn't be able to say, I want to start my own business and be able to do it. So to me, it's just respect for the country and the freedom and the opportunity that we're given to do that. So we have them, you can put them on the side of the building, you can put up a big pole, you can put up a great big pole, but you know, there's a lot of options. I just think there should be, I would like for this country to look like it did on September 12th, 2001. Remember that? You couldn't throw a stick without seeing flags. Down residential streets, every business had one out, they were on cars, everybody had them. Where'd they go? Oh, you know, I don't want to replace it.
I'm sorry to be a nuisance.
No, you're fine.
Is there a proper way to retire a flag?
Take it to your local VFW, American Legion, even the Boy Scouts. They do the ceremonies to do that. So there's, yeah. And even some of the grocery stores will have drop boxes for flags, and then they just take them out at that time, so.
This could be an assumption, but I'm guessing one of the big barriers for people in getting a flag and putting up a flag and showcasing one is maybe they're unaware of costs. They may think it's cost prohibitive. Can you give us an idea of what average size flag to go on a house or a business is all the way up to the big commercial ones?
A standard 3x5 flag is about $40. You know, you can get them bulk packed, and I'll run specials on them where they're like $25. Same flag, just not in a pretty box. So $25 to $40 is about general. A good pole, the spinning poles, so they don't get all wound up on them, are about $20. You can get a kit that has the pole and the flag for about $50. The bigger the flag and the heavier the material, we have a lot of them that have, the Duratex 2 is my favorite one this time of year because it's like a mesh material. The wind and the water go through it, and the wind, so it doesn't beat up against it. It lasts a lot longer. Those are a little bit more, they're like $50 for a 3x5, and you can get those up to 5x8. The nylon flags and the cotton flags go up to the 100 by 300 foot, and they're about $3,000. So, yeah, it's just all over the board. A lot of people like cotton flags. A lot of people only do nylon, regardless. But the Coralex one is like a canvas material. So in the summertime, that's really good because that wind will whip it, and it's not, you know, it takes the beating a lot better. And in the wintertime, I fly the Duratex ones just so that it doesn't get hung up with the wind and the water and stuff. So, and the other little card on there, and just to also, I started my business when I was 53 years old. I thought I was too old, and my husband's aunt said I was 53 when I started my business. Like, okay. So you're never too old, it's never too late. And this year I wrote my first children's book about me and my grandchildren. And we're having a great time with that. And book number 2 is in the works, so just keep adding to it and adding to it. So.
Any other questions? Got time for one more question? If not, Peggy,
Okay.
thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. We'd like to give you a Focus Sweet coffee mug.
Oh, awesome.
So please enjoy your next mug in that. Want to remind everybody